The hum of the Razor Crest's engines has faded, replaced by the hushed quiet of a remote, dusty plain. Djarin stands, a silent sentinel, his Beskar armor reflecting the dim light of twin suns. Before him, a small green creature, barely more than a toddler, coos softly, reaching out a tiny three-fingered hand. Mando's hand, gloved and armored, hovers for a fraction of a second, an eternity of deliberation in that pause. His head, encased in its iconic helmet, tilts almost imperceptibly. Is it curiosity, hesitation, or perhaps the first whisper of a bond he hadn't known he needed? It's a moment of profound emotional communication, yet not a single facial expression is visible. This, perhaps, is the true genius of Djarin, the Mandalorian. In a world where heroes often wear their hearts on their sleeves, or rather on their faces, Mando defies convention. His face is almost always hidden behind the T-visored helmet, leaving the audience to decode his inner world through an entirely different language. The subtle tilt of his helmet, the slump of his shoulders, the careful way he reaches for Grogu, or the sudden, decisive clench of a fist. It's a masterclass in less is more, a powerful testament to how much can be conveyed when so little is explicitly shown. Consider, for instance, the many ways his helmet speaks volumes. A slight lean forward, and we understand his intense focus, his assessment of a threat, or his deep concentration on a task. A tilt backward, and it conveys surprise, perhaps a moment of internal contemplation, or even a fleeting second of quiet bewilderment. When his head dips, just so, we sense a heavy weariness, a moment of personal doubt, or a quiet resignation to a difficult truth. Each small movement becomes weighted with meaning, forcing us to lean in, to observe more closely, and in doing so, we become more deeply invested in his journey. Beyond the helmet, the language of his body is equally eloquent. Observe his shoulders. When they are squared, broad, and unyielding, we perceive his unwavering determination, his protective stance, or his readiness for conflict. But watch them slump, even slightly, after a particularly grueling encounter or a painful revelation, and you see the weight he carries, the burden of his creed, or the quiet ache of a personal loss. This physical manifestation of his emotional state allows us to empathize with a character whose eyes we never see, whose smile or frown remains forever a mystery. We feel the heavy exhale that isn't heard, the sigh that isn't seen, purely through the narrative told by his posture. And then there are his hands, those instruments of both immense power and surprising tenderness. The way he meticulously cleans his blaster, a rhythmic, almost meditative action that speaks of discipline and preparedness. Or, crucially, the delicate, almost reverent way he handles Grogu. The gentle placement of his head on the child's head, the careful way he lifts him, the protective curl of his arm around him during danger. These actions are laden with unspoken affection, with a growing bond that transcends words. Each gesture, from the rapid draw of his pistol to the hesitant offer of a small trinket to the child, paints a rich emotional landscape. It's in these moments that we truly understand the profound evolution of Djarin, from a solitary bounty hunter to a devoted, if unorthodox, father figure. This less is more approach profoundly amplifies the moments of high emotion. When the stakes are at their highest and Mando has to make a critical decision, his pauses become longer, his movements more deliberate. We hang on every subtle shift, every minute inclination, knowing that monumental feeling is brewing beneath that unreadable visor. It makes the eventual, rare reveals of his face, or even just a glimpse, overwhelmingly powerful, precisely because we've spent so much time interpreting his silent language. The farewell to Grogu, for instance, resonated with such intensity, not just because his mask was finally lifted, but because for 2 seasons, we had learned to read every ounce of his love, his conflict, and his sorrow through the precise, deliberate physical portrayal of his hidden self. It's a testament to the extraordinary skill of the performers, both Pedro Pascal and the various stunt doubles who inhabit the suit, and the visionary directors. They've managed to create one of the most expressive and emotionally resonant heroes in recent memory, a true icon, despite the seemingly insurmountable barrier of a perpetually hidden face. Through their collaborative artistry, Djarin transcends the traditional visual cues of emotion, inviting us into a deeper, more empathetic engagement. The Visor, indeed, speaks. This unique portrayal reminds us that true connection isn't always about what's explicitly shown, but often about what's felt, what's inferred, and what's communicated through the most subtle of actions. It's a powerful lesson in empathy and observation. We've learned to see the heart of the Mandalorian not in his eyes, but in the tilt of his helmet, the steadfastness of his shoulders, and the gentle reach of his hand. What are your thoughts on Mando's unique way of expressing emotion? Have you found yourself interpreting his subtle movements, or do you have a favorite moment where his body language spoke volumes? Share your insights and join the conversation in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspectives. And if you enjoyed this discussion, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more explorations into the rich narratives of our favorite stories.